Hulk 2099 Origin Explored. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Terry and this is Marvelous Videos. If you thought the Incredible Hulk was an absolute beast of a character, then wait till you hear about the Hulk from the Marvel Universe of 2099. While both the Hulks have similarities, for the sake of new characters, Hulk 2099 is a little different and a lot more beastly. Hulk 2099's story was introduced in the anthology 2099 Unlimited, like many comic anthologies. He's a man called John Eisenhart in reality and was created by Gerard Jones and Dwayne Turner. This version of the Hulk is bigger, scarier, and has more menacing features than the original Hulk. Intrigued? Well, keep watching as we dive into the origins of this scary beast. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now, let's begin. Hulk 2099 Origin. John Eisenhart, the In Control Hulk. The story of Hulk 2099 and John Eisenhart is set in the year 2099 in one of the many possibilities that exist in the multiverse. The world in 2099 is very different from the current one. The heroes we love so much are long gone, and much of the US is being run by corporations. It's a highly dystopian reality where these corporations rule with an iron fist, and instead of coercing citizens into doing their bidding, they use outright force and violence. These corporations have created their base in the city of Los Angeles, and this location only makes things more conducive for their operations. How come? Well, in 2076, a group of eco-terrorists blew up the fault lines in California, creating a moat, isolating Western California from the rest of the country. John Eisenhart is a man with a thriving career in this wretched dystopian world. He's a top deal maker at a film production studio called Lotus Land, and he's a jerk. He doesn't stop at anything to get what he wants. And what he wants is for people to give up the rights to their stories without any sort of royalties from the films that get made. Another interesting thing about this dystopian reality is that there are no movie theaters in this world. People watch films using a virtual reality device that makes them feel like they are right there in the movie. This time, he's been told to steal the story rights of a group of warriors known as the Knights of Banner. They're a small group of people who still try to live their life according to the old ways without giving in to the pressure of the corporate world. When John arrived at the land of the Knights, Lone Mountain, in his flying car, he saw them in the middle of a lesson. There was a line of men throwing swords right next to the heads of another group of men, kind of like an axe throw, except the aim is to not hit the target. Their leader, Aeneas, then gave a motivational speech to the men there. He told them that they have learned a valuable lesson here. The men who threw the swords have learned to trust their abilities as swordsmen, while the men who are standing as targets have learned to trust their brothers. It all seems very dangerous and misguided, for a lack of better words, to John. I mean, obviously loyalty and bravery don't matter to a man like him, so it is understandable that he doesn't understand their actions. Anyway, he tries to speak to Aeneas to convince him to sell their rights to him so that his studio can make a movie out of it. But Aeneas isn't just a tribal man. He's too smart to be exploited like that. He can't be bought with an option fee. He says, "No money will distract us from our true mission to raise true warriors, to fight the values of your civilization." This only angers John, so he does the most normal thing ever. He reaches out to a kid in order to find out the weaknesses of the tribe. The poor kid, Gawain, is caught up in the middle of it. John paints a beautiful fairy tale about the big city with its blinding lights and how Gawain can end up becoming a big shot just like John if he tries. He gets swayed and influenced by John's sweet words and his super cool car, and he starts spilling the beans about his community. He tells John that the Knights were named after the legendary Hulk, Bruce Banner. John doesn't respond quite positively to that and calls Banner a pathetic radiation freak. It turns out that Banner was the reason that gamma radiation was outlawed, as the radiation was deemed uncontrollable. This is where Gawain spills the biggest secret. He says they're not so uncontrollable anymore, not since Aeneas's experiments. This gave John everything he needed. The story of the Knights of Banner became more of a cult-like religion based on his pitch to his boss Audra, and the use of illegal gamma rays made it easy to shut the Knights down. He told her to send out a security force that goes by the name Sweet Dreams. I think it's quite a fitting name because that's exactly what the squad does. It puts its targets to sleep forever. That's exactly what happened with the Knights as well. Sweet Dreams came to arrest the Knights, but they resisted. They claimed, "What we do here is right. We will not throw ourselves into your corrupt and tangled judicial system to attempt to prove it to you. We are warriors. We are men. We will fight for our beliefs." And so they did. and that's how they all ended up dead. John tried to stop the massacre by driving his car into the battlefield, but they just fired upon him. Why would a kill team care about casualties? Obviously, seeing all this, Gawain had also realized that John had played him. So, in his thirst for revenge, he goes to get the gamma ray machine that his tribe had been using. John goes to stop Gawain and the two end up in a scuffle. During the scuffle, the gun drops to the ground and hits something, resulting in it shooting out gamma radiation. The gamma rays immediately hit John, who then turns into the Hulk. This Hulk is massive. He's blue and extremely menacing. He's similar to Venom because of his unusually long lizard-like tongue and razor-sharp teeth. Later on, the reality of his actions hits him and he thinks, only then I knew what I'd done. Only then I knew what civilization had made me, and it made me angry. It made me very angry. It made me what the Knights had tried to create. While those thoughts are going on in his brain, we see a pretty neat transition where he turns from man to monster at will, using his anger. Yeah, Hulk 2099 can turn into the Hulk at will. While he will carry the burden of the death of the entire tribe of Knights, he made it his mission to search for Gawain, who was the lone survivor of the massacre, and to ensure that this kind of thing never happens again. Meanwhile, he continues to be a dealmaker in his regular human form. His boss, Audra, tells him that a huge savage man came out from the hills during the Sweet Dreams attack on Lone Mountain, and she wants to get the rights to his story. Now, Audra doesn't know that John is the Hulk, so she gives him access to the files and records kept by Sweet Dreams. He wanted to use the records to find Gawain when he saw another kill order. This time, it was for a woman named Quirk. Quirk's real name is Naomi Soonlee Torrijos Washington. She's a singer-songwriter who adores the 1990s and misses the old days when there were movie theaters, public education, and Madonna. So why were they after her? Well, this singer-songwriter was no ordinary one. She only sang songs with subliminal messaging about the music industry. Now, this is something that these big corporations can't have because it might lead to an uprising at some point. So their solution is to nip things in the bud by using sweet dreams to give their targets lifelong sweet dreams. While she has an intense discussion with her boyfriend about how he should also be writing subliminal songs like her, the Sweet Dreams squad break in. They start firing at her when Hulk 2099 bursts into her house. This leads to an intense battle where this bigger, stronger, and scarier Hulk is throwing tanks while the squad attacks him. Then, while fighting Sweet Dreams, he says, "Yeah, I've seen their power before. Civilization's power. But they've never seen my power. They've never seen the power of the Hulk." And all hell breaks loose. He starts destroying things left, right, and center. He rips up the ground and throws it at the troops. They start using real artillery in retaliation. Remember the old stories about the Hulk? How when he got angry, he only got stronger? Guess what? They were true. Then he destroys everything around him and rescues Quirk. An understandably scared Quirk asks him, "What are you? What are you?" To which he replies, "I am a man." Get it? He calls himself a man because that's what the Knights of Banner were, and now that he's the Hulk, he's a product of everything they stood for. Yes, it was an intense comic with so many action-packed scenes in it. Now, let's move on to his story arcs. The amazing story arc of Hulk 2099. After appearing in the Marvel Unlimited anthology, Hulk 2099 became quite popular and received his own story arc in the comic Hulk 2099. The first issue of the comic is called No Exit, and it starts off with John in his Hulk form. He's planning on fighting a mysterious corporation that has been using security droids to keep people out. He looks at all this righteous fighting as a way to cleanse his conscience, a way to, quote, wash away the blood of my past corruption. Meanwhile, back at Lotus Land Entertainment, his workplace, his colleagues oversee the production of the movie on the Knights of Banner. Suddenly, the owner of the studio, Audra, shows up as a hologram and informs them all that production is to be stopped immediately. This causes panic and chaos throughout the company, but John isn't bothered by any of it. He's managed to find and save both Gawain and Quirk. He was planning to cash out his stocks in the company, take Gawain, and set him up with some health cultists in the desert area who would keep him safe. Quirk was supposed to look after Gawain while John went to get his share of the money in the company. However, John drove her away, so he had to take the kid with him all the way to Hollywood. He tells Gawain to stay in the car while he goes to the office and gets his company shares. In his office, he tries to contact his boss Audra to ask her what is going on, but the interactive system that they use for contact says that she will no longer be available through that exchange. So he asks the interactive system to cash out his employee shares instead. However, just then, the studio's mood management expert, Dr. Phil, shows shows up. He questions John about the Knights of Banner and how people are suspicious that the group might be connected to a scheme to recreate the legendary Bruce Banner. John totally denies knowing anything about it. He tells Phil that all he knew was that the Knights lived by a warrior code which would make for a good film. Using Gawain, he found out about the group's illegal activities using gamma rays, allowing him to report them. Dr. Phil keeps raising his suspicions and John keeps shutting them down by claiming to know nothing about the boy or the activities of the Knights. While the two of them were talking, a man named Draco burst through a wall. Draco is a big-headed cyborg-like man who looks like a reimagination of the leader, and now he's the new owner of Lotus Land. Just then, the security squad Sweet Dreams burst through the doors screaming, "This isn't New York, Draco, and you aren't Alchemax. You don't just take over a studio by force in California." Draco responds, "I know the rules, prole. I've been staging this takeover for weeks through finance and law. I only use force as a finishing touch." And Draco's security droids enter the scene to fight Sweet Dreams. John leaves the battleground and contemplates going full Hulk, but decides against it. He focuses on his main goal, getting Gawain out of this place and heading out to the desert where John himself belongs. So he makes a run for the parking lot where Gawain is. Unfortunately, some men from Sweet Dreams see him running and go after him. He leads the security forces straight to Gawain. He tells Gawain to get down, but Gawain is, after all, a Knight of Banner. So despite the deep loss John caused him, he still tries to save John from the security forces by throwing himself in front of him. The tragedy continues as Gawain, the last of the Knights of Banner, falls to his death. This breaks something inside John and he transforms into the Hulk. Then he goes back into the company premises with a single motive: to get his revenge on Draco. In another part of town, Quirk had been captured by the security droids. One can only imagine how John would react to that information. I assume that it would be completely heartbreaking for him to find out that he failed to protect the two people he had vowed to protect all in one day. The next issue picks up from the fight between Hulk 2099 and Draco. Draco is extremely impressed by Hulk's strength and tries to recruit him instead. He claims, "I will soon own this city, this entire so-called nation. Work for me and you'll never lack for anything." This only makes the Hulk angrier. He attacks Draco, but Draco pulls a slick, manipulative move. He uses John's co-worker, Keisha, as a hostage to stop the Hulk. Surprisingly, even though John lacked morals, his Hulk form was morally ethical. This causes him to stop and question his next move. In that time, Draco gets the Hulk captured and put into a contraption so that Phil can study his brain. Meanwhile, the captured Quirk is flown over Los Angeles by a droid and unceremoniously dumped in front of security personnel, probably from Sweet Dreams. She would have been killed when suddenly the wall bursts and tribal-looking men wearing graphic-looking animal masks show up. They capture Quirk saying, "By the spirits of the forest we declare you warriors of the human tribe." Back at the studio, Hulk tries his best to break free from his bonds while Dr. Phil gets ready to analyze his brain. Phil made sure to get an audience of the rest of the employees of the company as well. Hulk uses their presence to his advantage and tries to motivate the workers to unite with his cause and help him. He keeps his attention on Zamora, the virtual reality master at Lotus Land, because he has the authority to motivate and lead the rest of the employees. He reminds Zamora how the corporate world has taken his creativity from him. During their conversation, Zamora remembers his experiences of how politicians and leaders have been ruining lives. He manages to flip the script and get the employees on his side, while Dr. Phil tries to give Hulk an injection. A fight ensues between the employees and the security guards. Hulk realizes that the employees don't stand a chance without muscle on their side and tries to get out of the contraptions he's in. Zamora, although hurt, manages to pull out the wires which control the machinery holding Hulk captive, thus freeing him. The employees head to the administration building and start to destroy the studio while Hulk goes after Draco. Draco calls Hulk a savage and says, "You destroy my investment with no purpose, with no profit, only your worthless emotions," which is funny because they had just been blasted with 2 million volts by Dr. Phil and it had only made him angrier. And we all know that an angry Hulk is a strong Hulk. He starts to throw Draco around and beat him up when Draco suddenly disappears. Draco goes into hiding to lick his wounds while Hulk goes to find Quirk. Draco and his half-computer brain are having a tough time comprehending and processing this setback when someone shows up at his doorstep insisting on meeting him. The stranger says, "I would advise you to meet with me, Draco. You and I share a big green enemy, and there is much of value you might learn from the Master of Genetics, the Golden One." The man who shows up at Draco's door is the same person who kidnapped Quirk, so yes, there is a new rival in town, and Hulk must battle them both. I won't reveal the plot any further and let you experience this dystopian novel battle for yourself. However, I will share a rather sad fact. While the comic is really good, it only lasted for 12 issues. Marvel concluded the story of the Hulk and tied up all the loose ends in a comic called 2099 AD Apocalypse. In this book, we see everything happening through the lens of a news studio. There's chaos all around the country that the news channel is showcasing. One of the SHIELD satellites gave the news channel footage of Hulk, the last wild man of the American West, the independent man who was instrumental to the downfall of the corrupt studio system in the separatist state of California. However, as per the footage, SHIELD had cornered Hulk, and their behavior suggested that a shoot-to-kill order had been put out for Hulk. It turns out Hulk had lost everything, his friends, his home, and possibly even his humanity by this point. So he didn't really put up a fight. He just stood there as the soldiers gunned him down. And that was the sad demise of Hulk 2099. What makes Hulk 2099 super deadly? Most of the abilities possessed by the Incredible Hulk are the same as those possessed by Hulk 2099. For instance, both have super strength to lift and destroy things weighing 150 tons. Another similarity between the two is that Hulk 2099 also becomes stronger when he's angrier, just like the Hulk. However, unlike the Incredible Hulk, there's a limit to his capacity to amp up. As he controls the Hulk and can transform at will, this would imply that he lacks the same savagery that the previous Hulks possessed. This explains the morality and humanity that John Eisenhardt's Hulk possesses. In The Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner was the sweet, gentle, and moral soul. At the same time, his beast was an uncontrollable force of nature. The opposite was true for Eisenhardt and his beast. Hulk 2099 is also similar to Wolverine, as both of them possess the power of regeneration. He can cut through steel and other metals with his sharp teeth and claws. He also possesses a tongue that is superhumanly powerful, although a little weird to look at. Like the Incredible Hulk, Hulk 2099 is also incredibly durable. He can withstand bullets of all calibers, small missiles, and temperatures that are both exceedingly high and low. That was the story of Hulk 2099, a brave, independent man, the last wild man of the American West. He fought the corporations till his last breath and managed to defeat them, even though he lost everything in the process. The Beast was a man of great morals and ethics, and I'm sure if the Knights of Banner had been alive, they would have been proud of what they created. It's a shame that readers didn't enjoy the comic as much, and it had to be cancelled so soon. Have you read the comics? What did you think about the character? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.